So the origins of Versant, yeah, that's that I have to go back a little ways to think about that. But geez, I mean, it started out as actually a group of guys from Sybase that recognized the changing trends in object-oriented programming languages and moving away from sort of procedural things like Fortran and going to object-oriented C++ and Smalltalk. And so these kernel engineers in Sybase thought we should create a better database for that kind of a programming paradigm. And so this was back in the late 80s, actually, mid to late 80s, around the 1980 sort of 4 time frame. And so three primary guys. I mean, it was a guy named Keong, and then buddies of his, Stephen O. Young and C.P. Cho. And there were a couple of other guys, but basically they came out and formed, over some drinks, the concepts behind the Versant database. And at that time, they started a company called Object Sciences Corporation. And, it's a typical little startup. They got an office space out in Menlo Park, California, and started, coding away. And I think it was, probably about 2 years later that they hit the streets with the first beta. Went out to China, of all places, to Chubu Electric. And at that time, they were trying to manage all the power grids out there, and this exploding modernization that was going on out in China. And they needed some creative applications that could manage the power grids. And at the time, object database technology was definitely the thing that was up to the task of managing these rather complex networks. And so they incorporated the Versant Object Database into their efforts and built the first systems and deployed the product before we even went public as a technology and sort of formally launched into the ODBMS space. But yeah, those are the early days. Finally, it was in the 90s where we became Versant Object Technology and formally launched an IPO in '96. And been growing ever since.
What about the name Versant? Does it have any meaning?
The name Versant itself doesn't have any particular meaning. It's Versant means kind of conversant, so it means adaptable and changeable under different circumstances, which I suppose suits the technology very well. If you happen to be from France, you tend to pronounce it as Versant, and the rest of the world pronounces it as Versant.